A quick introduction to this video interview with John Wood and how it came about. I DJ at a radio station called KSJD in Cortez, Colorado, Southwest Colorado. I have a show every Monday night called Trail Mix from 8 to 10 p.m. I've been doing it for a few years and really enjoy it. And when Nicky Hopkins was announced as one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ballot members, somebody who is going to be voted on for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I did a little set because I've been a longtime fan of Nicky's work with the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Who, so many other bands. It's just a very, very long list. And when I did this little brief set, my phone rang. Again, it's 8 to 10 p.m. on a Monday night in Cortez, Colorado. And a British voice comes on the line and introduces himself as John Wood. Well, he is the producer of a documentary about Nicky Hopkins called The Session Man. And John introduced himself, said thank you for the little set honoring Nicky Hopkins. And we chatted for a few minutes. And then I think we exchanged a few messages on social media, which is where he had found me, which makes sense when you hear the interview because John was somebody who paid a lot of attention to social media over in England. It was his business. He worked with a lot of different clients, helping them with their social media platforms. So he knew how to track subjects he was interested in. And to get a call from somebody in Britain when you're sitting in your radio station in Cortez, Colorado, thanking you for a brief 3-song set was really, really memorable. So when Nicky got officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I did another set and decided at that time to reach out to John and see if he would do a more in-depth interview with me just for my own personal interests. And I decided to record it and post it here on YouTube. So what follows is my chat with John about how the whole project came to be. And it's quite a story. If you care at all about Nicky Hopkins, go watch The Session Man. It's a wonderful tribute to a fine musical career. Nicky passed away a long time ago, and it's terrific to see him being remembered for all his contributions to so many famous songs. Here's John Wood. John Wood, thank you so much for your time today and talking about Nicky Hopkins.
That's okay. It's my pleasure. I love talking about him, obviously.
Yeah. Where are we catching you? Where do you live?
I live in East Grinstead, which is a town in southern England, not far from Gatwick Airport, which is a bit of a landmark,
Right,
south of
right.
London.
Yep. And I was doing my radio show about a year and a half ago or so, and just playing a little Nicky Hopkins set, and it was really quite the treat to get a call from you in the studio at that moment
Oh,
as you were
yeah, I remember.
listening. Yeah, yeah, and
That's
that,
how I've forgotten that's how it happened. That's how we got
yeah,
to. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So, and then when we heard that he got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I played another set, and then reached out to you and offered to perhaps have you chat a little bit about Nicky, and we can. My plan is to use a little bit of it on a future show where I'm going to do 2 full hours of Nicky Hopkins tracks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
what the heck? So, but
Yeah.
before we get to Nicky and your and the documentary, The Session Man, tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, well, it's nothing to do with the music industry.
Y-
I mean, it's a very strange patchwork quilt kind of a career. I got a degree in hotel management, believe it or not. And I got out of that industry as fast as I could because it was just too stressful and people talk down to you when you're a waiter, you know what I mean? No, I was going to run a hotel or something, but then a friend of mine from school poached me and got me into the IT world, which was much more me. And this was late 80s now. And I worked for this computer company selling hardware and software. And then I sort of ended up in social media.
Hmm.
And I've been running my own. I was made redundant from a company, and I thought, why don't I just work for myself? So I ended up running a company that allowed people to outsource the management of their social media to me
Ah,
because it's too fiddly sometimes. They're too busy. The phone's ringing. They don't even know what Twitter is, kind of thing. So I would just tweet for them, posts on Facebook and Instagram and respond with comments and questions because they're too busy. And I just tell them if there's a complaint or a compliment to let them know, and just they don't have to think about it. That's really was my business model.
Did you work with certain kinds of clients, or just anybody?
Anybody that came along, some more interesting than others.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some that have some stuff that you can talk about, others that have nothing you can talk about, which is really painful because I kind of say to them, there must be something that's happened in your business. What can I say?
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a special offer on, maybe. And others were so busy, there's always something happening where there's, for example, well, this is relevant to the story actually, because my best customer, his name is Gray Levitt, and he runs a really cool Nikon only shop in London. It's a camera shop. Apparently, it's the only camera shop in the world that only sells Nikon.
Wow. Wow.
And it's a jewel in the whole Nikon world, actually. It's a very, very special shop. It even has its own coat of arms, which is something.
Yeah.
And he was my best customer. I managed his social media for 9 years. And it just so happens that he used to be Nicky's personal manager.
Oh my gosh.
I don't mean manager, but personal manager, meaning someone to just take care of him, advise Nicky what to wear or what to accept or reject in offers and so on. And just you know, be a friend. And he told me lots of amazing stories about Nicky. And I just said to myself, how come people don't know this guy? He is so legendary and he's worked on so many iconic tracks. We all know what he sounds like, but only musicians and ardent fans know his name.
Right.
And I felt that was just wrong. I just felt that had to change. So I decided to do something about it. I had just done I seem to have a vocation for unsung heroes because my stepfather started a big brand back in 1947 that you may not know because it wasn't marketed in the States. It was only really marketed in the Commonwealth countries. It started in the UK. And the name I'm about to tell you is exactly the same name as another company that is completely unrelated. And that name is Kenwood.
Ah.
Now, Kenwood, you think immediately of radio, car audio, and so on, right?
Yep.
No connection, although apparently they took the name because it was a Japanese company originally. This is uncorroborated, and I don't have it in writing, but my stepfather, who started the company, told me that they just liked the name because it was a growing European name and they thought they'd use that too. Anyway, other than that, there's no connection whatsoever. So he started that company in 1947, and its main product is a food mixer.
Mm.
Did you know anything about that?
No.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
if you Google Kenwood Chef, you'll see exactly what I mean. It's a really well respected and loved product that makes much more than just food mixes. It's also toasters, kettles, every domestic appliance you can think of. And that was his first name and his last name put together, Kenwood. You see? And in 2017, I got a plaque put on the building where it all began in 1947.
Wow.
And I got the mayor to unveil it, and I was interviewed on BBC and did a presentation, and it was so good and so much fun, and did what I wanted to do, which is to get people to know that it was Ken that did this. It's an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
And he never really wanted to be known. He just wanted the brand to be the brand and the product to be the product. He said that who cares who's running it? That's not relevant. See? So, but I wanted to reverse that because I wanted people to know who was so clever to have done this. What an incredible achievement. So I did that. And then that went so well. I said, right, that was fun. Who can I do this for next? You know, who else deserves this kind of attention who's never got it? Of course, Nicky Hopkins. You know, that's the obvious one, right? So, so then I spoke to Gray Levitt is the name of the chap, and his shop is called Grays of Westminster. That's Grays. If you're a Nikon user, they're the ultimate shop to go to. And I spoke to him, and he said, "Yeah, what could you do?" And I thought, well, the obvious place to start would be a memorial, some kind of memorial for him, something physical that people can, because his ashes, there are no ashes anywhere, no grave, nothing. He never won any awards when he was alive.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so I thought, well, where did he live? Oh, he was born in Ealing, West London, which is actually the cradle of British rock, where the Stones began and everything. It happens to be the place.
Yeah.
So I thought, great. Well, I'll contact Ealing Council. Do you call it a council in the States? It's, the government, the local government.
City council, sure.
Exactly, the same thing.
Yeah.
So I called Ealing Council, and they sort of, we know about him. And I said, why don't I put a plaque on, having just done a plaque, why don't I put a plaque on Nicky's house just to repeat the same thing? And they said, the chap I spoke to said, well, I mean, it's a residential area, not many people are going to see it, hasn't got much footfall, why don't you just put a bench in the local park that looks like a piano? And I said, yeah, that sounds great, but how do you do that actually?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does a bench that looks like a piano actually like? Obviously, it's got to have black and white keys somewhere, but where?
Right.
Are they on the backrest, on the seat, or what? How do you sort of show piano-ness on this bench? and I Googled it. There was hardly any similar project anywhere. There were various things, but none of it would kind of work for me, and it didn't really do what I wanted. And eventually I came up with the idea of the black and white keys being what you sit on, and then pictures of Nicky on the backrest of him with Mick Jagger and Ronnie Wood and Rod Stewart, things like that, and quotes and tracks, and and then since it was a crowdfunded project, the back of the backrest is where I thought I could list all the names of the contributors, and that will work so well. Then I thought, let's have a little bit of wood on it to kind of symbolize 70s kind of Moog synthesizers and stuff. They're in wooden boxes, weren't they, in those days, with knobs that you. So the armrest is 2 bits of wood of the armrest, right? And the rest is a very, very durable plastic material that is graffiti proof, fireproof, God knows what proof, and easy to clean, and it lasts for 20 years or something. So it's difficult to damage and scratch. I found this fantastic company that had exactly what I wanted, and they said it would cost £4,000. So I thought, great, right, that should be easy to crowdfund.
That's a lot.
So
For a bench,
Well, yeah, but I thought it's not too much. I ended up getting 60 people each paying £100.
Wow.
So I ended up getting 6,000.
Wow.
But I'm coming to that. I'll come to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's 2 lumps of plastic that have a JPEG printed onto them. You sit on the keyboard, and it's a beautiful shiny keyboard. You actually see the reflection on the black and the black keys that you sit on, and then another one, which is the backrest, which has the front of it with pictures of Nicky and the back of it with the 60 names all listed out. I got a designer to make it look gorgeous for me, because I'm no designer. I sort of sketched out what I kind of wanted, and he did this design. His name's Jesse Wilson. He's local here. He's so good. In fact, he's Grace of Westminster's designer too.
Wow.
He said, what did Nicky, he wanted to get inside the whole thing and really understand, what did Nicky like? What did he wear? And I said, well, he wore, I asked his widow, Moira Hopkins, he wore paisley shirts, right? So this designer has sprinkled paisley along the bottom and the edges, just to give it that little personal touch. Have you seen it, by the way?
I've seen pictures. I've not in that kind of detail, but now I'm going to go back and look more carefully. Yeah.
Right. And it has its own place on Google Maps.
That's
so you
awesome.
can just type Nicky Hopkins bench in Google Maps, and you're right there. Even with pictures and reviews, it's fantastic. You can do that. So that's how it happened. And go on.
How long did it take to pull all that together? It must have taken some time.
Like a year, really.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
started in 2017, which is when the Kenwood plaque was done, and then it was unveiled in 2018. I've forgotten the month. I think it was September. So with the local mayor. So then the big day happens. It was so exciting. I mean, by the way, I had to get through to these 60 people comprise friends, family, fans, and celebrities that Nicky worked with. Right now, that was the difficult bit, because you try to get through to, you go to their website, there's not even a contact button on it.
Right.
The
Yeah.
last thing they need is someone like me bugging them for £100, right? But perseverance paid off. And I discovered, by here's a tip for your listeners, if you type in the celebrity and the word management, you then find the company that manages that celebrity.
Yeah.
That is not on the celebrity's website. That's a little tip. And that sort of helped me get through to quite a few people, actually.
So who were some of the celebrities who contributed the £100?
Oh, only like minor celebrities like Jimmy Page.
Minor ones, yeah.
Yeah. all the Stones.
Yeah.
I not individually, but I managed to get through to someone in their management office, and they understood the whole situation. No, I'm sure they're on tour, but I'm sure they would be happy to give £100 each, and don't worry about it. So they sent me a £500 check.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, a percussionist who was a personal friend of Nicky called Hossam Ramsey. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he actually worked with the with Led Zeppelin. You can see him playing Kashmir with them. An Egyptian percussionist. He's probably the most well-known Egyptian percussionist ever. He's passed away now, unfortunately. He was one of the very first, because he loved Nick. Everybody loved Nicky. Hossam, Hossam.
Got it.
Ramzy.
Got it.
Also, Roger Daltrey.
Heard of him? Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
did any of them come to the unveiling?
Yoko Ono. I almost forgot Yoko Ono.
Yoko, yes.
Well, I got to tell you, don't forget your question, but I got to tell you how that happened. I rang up. I somehow got through to the Imagine office, because I found at the bottom of the Imagine Peace website there was this tiny little link that looked like it was the web designer, and I clicked it, and there was a number, and it was the actual office that runs the whole Imagine thing. And the person said to me, "Yes, we know who Nicky is." Sorry, because not everybody does. And they go, "Who are you? And do you have authority? And does the family know?" All these sort of suspicious questions. And then they looked into it. Then a few hours go by. I was actually having a nap. And then the phone rang. I thought, "Who's this?" They, "Hi, yes, Yoko and I would both like to give £100. Oh, I'll never forget that moment.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's so special, that kind of thing. So a lot of perseverance, a lot of ringing back. And eventually you get, not everybody. I couldn't get Paul McCartney to do anything, but nor Rod Stewart. Although later on, he wanted to be interviewed, but that fell through at the last minute. Same with Steve Miller. Jumping ahead for the documentary.
Right.
Again, sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. Anyway, I got all these names. I got 60 names, and it went ahead. So now we're in Perivale Park, which is a little park within Ealing area. And there was just happened to be one bench that was broken, and they had to replace it anyway.
Oh, wow.
And so what I did not want for Nicky was a wooden bench with a little brass plaque along the top.
Right.
That was, nowhere near good enough. It had to be really special. And it ended up looking great because Jesse made it really special looking, with a proper design, magical design, and all the names listed on the back. And it was covered over with a sheet that said Ealing Council, on it, like a logo and everything. And you'll see on the website, thesessionmanfilm.com, slash about. You'll see these photos. Me standing next to the mayor, standing next to a councillor, and Maura Hopkins. Us four, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We pulled the sheet off, and there, everyone, ooh, there's the bench. That was so good. But just before that, what was very cool is that I was interviewed on national radio, BBC Radio 4, I think it was, by, do you know the Communards?
No.
Anyway,
Yeah.
he used to be a pop star. Now he's a reverend, with a dog collar and a TV radio presenter. Anyway, he interviewed me about it just about an hour before the moment. And local residents who happened to hear that came and joined the unveiling moment.
Nice.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was really cool. Anyway, so that was wonderful. And then D Hopkins, Nicky's sister, came to the event. She told me she was just so proud of Nicky that day.
Yeah. Wow.
And then we had an after party in a local pub very near, and with sandwiches and drinks and stuff. And the mayor and the councillor spoke to Dee and said, so where did you live then? Because he was born in 44, right? So where did you live here in the 40s? He was born, by the way, while Germany were dropping bombs on London. It was actually during an air raid he was born.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, she said, where did he live? And she said, oh, listen, I'll show you if you like. So they just left the party, Dee with the two councillors, the mayor and the councillor, and they went and knocked on this door, 38 Jordan Road, which is not far from where they were. And the guy who opened the door said, Nicky Hopkins lived in this house. He was born at, wow. So luckily he knew, and he was a fan. I mean, most people have never heard of him.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then they said, well, can we put a plaque on this house? And I said, well, that's what I wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
So a year later, funded by them, the Ealing Civic Society actually put a plaque on the house. And the then mayor, because there's a mayor every year, with Maura, myself and the councillor and a whole group of people, the owners of the house, they just let complete strangers wander all through their house. They had a marquee in the garden, they had cakes and coffee. It was a big event. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
So we pulled it was on high up, and there was a kind of a string and a curtain covering it, and we pulled it. And that was the event, which was fantastic. And I got that on local London TV news, which was so exciting.
Yeah.
It was only 20 seconds. Yeah. But the excitement was because I rang them up because the BBC weren't interested, but the ITV, which is independent television, they were. There's a whole London broadcast, local news, and they said, well, we can't get a film crew to you, but if you send us some pictures of Nicky and you video the moment of the unveiling, we can't promise anything, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah. So we, we're having up the party and photos, etc. It was time to go. We left. It was now, this is a 6:30 broadcast, 6:30 p.m. So we left about 6-ish. Then I went on my phone, got the ITV app, pulled over, and they said, a plaque was unveiled this afternoon for musician Nicky Hopkins, and there's the video of the plaque and me, and that was such a moment. Another one I'll never forget.
Yeah, wow,
so cool.
During the bench and the plaque time, was the idea for a documentary starting to gel?
Well, actually, what happened there was that Graham Parker, right?
Sure, absolutely. Graham Parker in the rumor. Sure,
exactly. Well, they were very close friends. Graham and Nicky. Nicky's on 2 of his albums, and Graham came to the bench unveiling. He's been very supportive, and what happened was that I had £2,000 left over, right? Because it's only 4,000 to manufacture, but it cost. I raised 6,000. So I knew that Nicky had got a scholarship at the Royal Academy of Music, right, in 56. he won this Saturday morning scholarship because he was so talented as a kid, as did Elton John. They were there about the same time. It's just a
Wow.
Saturday morning instruction every day, every Saturday for
And 12,
4 years.
12 years old or something like that.
That's right,
Yeah.
56, born in 44, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how he got classically trained. And so I said to the Royal Academy of Music, would you like this £2,000 to create the Nicky Hopkins scholarship? And they said, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, but it's £10,000 per student per year to give it to anyone, for someone to actually study here. But luckily, more money came in from various sources, and 10,000 was available. So actually, 2 students have studied there since in
Wow.
Nicky's name.
Wow.
Yeah, a very talented jazz keyboard player called Lucas de Rungs, who's a German up and coming, extremely talented guy, Lucas de Rungs. And he actually studied there for 2 years running because more money came in. And a very talented jazz drummer called Kai Craig, Kai Craig. And so there's been 3 years worth. So that's 30. Well, actually, because it was during COVID, they allowed it a little bit less. It wasn't quite 10. I think it was 7 that had come in. So 27 has come in since. And my challenge is now to keep that going with fundraising ideas. In fact, Ealing Council are going to help me with that. I'm jumping ahead here, but they just launched the Friends of Nicky Hopkins organized group or whatever as a fundraising body to get the 10K in every year, so there could be 1 student every year forever. That is my hope. But anyway, so we're in the Royal Academy of Music, which is in Regent's Park in London. Beautiful place, obviously. And there's a picture of the Queen, because she was alive then, on the wall. You know, it's royal, right? And Graham Parker came to it.
Wow.
As did Gray Levitt. He was at the bench as well. He was there. And a group of people, and there were speeches and so on, and the Royal Academy thanking us as the Friends of Nicky Hopkins for raising this money. And Graham was there, and afterwards he said to me, hey, John, you've done the bench, you've done the plaque. Why don't you make a documentary? And I had thought about that, but I didn't want to examine that thought because I'm not a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I know I love watching films, but making them is a whole different story, because I know it involves lots of money, film crews, technical things, legal things, copyright, God knows what, travel, hotel, So I kind of didn't really want to go there, but because he mentioned it, I thought, he's right. Oh my God, he's so right. And now if I don't hurry up, some of the people that Nicky played with won't be with us for much longer.
Yeah.
So I better get on with it. And that is true. Some people that have been in the film have already passed away. So I thought, God, what do I do? How do I do that? I have no idea how to even begin. But it just so happened. I love this kind of spooky thing where you just want something to happen. It just happens. If your intention is strong enough and your passion is strong enough, it just happens. I've got quite a few examples of that in my life, actually. So I had been in touch with this veteran actor called Valentine Palmer, who I met at a business networking event about 10 plus years prior. He's in everything you can imagine. Do you know these TV shows, British TV shows, The Saint, The Avengers?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All these 60s stuff, and 70s. Professionals, Minder. These are classic TV shows, and he was often a baddie in these. He's a character actor.
Was it Roger Moore in The Saints?
Yes, exactly. And he's with Roger Moore playing, right, as a baddie in one episode, at least one.
Yeah.
And he was also in a TV show that I remember watching as a child called Six Wives of Henry VIII, in the 60s. So it was so good to get to know him. And I met him at this networking event. We stayed in touch a little bit. And then years went by and we hadn't exchanged anything. And then I happened to see him in a YouTube ad advertising an incredible Chinese traveling circus. I Fu Yang. I never bloody remember its names. Two Chinese sounds, it's just stellar, incredible Chinese show with incredible costumes and acrobats and somersaults and everything else. And he just happens to be in this YouTube ad that was popping up every time I was trying to watch any YouTube ad. This ad was coming up. You know what I mean? Before it's
Yeah.
And he was just in the street, you know, saying, "Oh, it's a wonderful show. You must go." Just as he left the theater, he's one of those. I said, "It's Valentine." So I screen dumped it and emailed him and said, "Guess who? Look who I've seen in this ad." And he said, "Hi, how you doing? What you up to?" You see, and I said, "Well, you know, this wasn't. I just wanted to say hello." But I just answered this, I want to make this documentary, but I don't know, you know, I didn't ring him to ask him what to do.
Yeah.
But I just mentioned it. And he said, "Tell me about it." Because he's always interested in making, you know, finding the right story of something that works. You know, just a musician who was good is not enough.
Right.
There's no depth to that, you see.
Right. Right.
But when I told him, Nicky was this young guy, child prodigy, worked with the biggest names in the world on the most important songs ever recorded, classically trained, died young, always ill, no one's heard of him. He went, "Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah.
I want to make this.
Yeah.
Let me ring my friend Mike Treem, who is a veteran TV producer." They worked together on one film and they were friends. And he was 10 years older than me. So he's a real veteran, really knows the industry. Never directed anything, but I mean, once you've been around the industry that long, you know how the whole system works. So he'd never heard of Nicky Hopkins, but he looked into him and just fell in love with the whole thing immediately and said, "I want to make this documentary. This is really good." He started looking into all these, I know that song. He's on that song and he's on that song. And I love that song, you know. So the whole story, not just the songs, but the whole story about Nicky himself as the character and how much everybody loved him and so on. So there were three of us making this film, and it was early 2019. We had no money or anything, but we just had this. We just wanted to make this film because it was so important for rock history.
Sure.
So there's a photo of the day we met, us three, in Richmond, South London, and we started to do research and dig into all the films and images and everything, and clips and all interview, everything, all the pre-work before you know, the homework really, before you start. And then all were excited. We raised a little bit of money to make a trailer, a pre-trailer, to show potential investors and potential interviewees what we're trying to do. And by this time, this is another example of how, like a coincidence that's just from passion. By this time, I was in touch with Harry Shearer on Twitter. And he'd responded to me, which is not easy. It's not easy to get celebrities to respond to you.
Yeah.
Right? But, you know, everybody loves Nicky. So you mentioned Nicky and, you know, often you get a response. And we were now chatting on direct message to each other. And I said, "Hey, any chance we need some money to make this trailer? Have you, you know, $1,000 would be great." He said, "Sure." Boom. There you go.
Wow. Wow.
And he never even kept any tabs on it. Like, I hope I get a credit for that in the end credits, and you better make sure this, and you know, whatever. Never mentioned it again. Almost didn't care.
Wow.
So that really helped. And we got a lot of people. In fact, Valentine's son, Luke, is a cameraman, a videographer. So he was on our first day of shooting. We got a few other favors and so on. And when we finished the shoot, the editor owed Mike some, I think they loved each other. So she did all the super editing, top quality editing to produce a 6-minute trailer. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead again. So we're in Olympic Studios, right? It's November 2019. Actually, let's go back a few weeks. It's coming up. So I contact Harry Shearer and say, "Hi, Harry, just to let you know, thanks so much for that money. We're all ready to do our first day of filming at Olympic Studios, which is sacred ground, isn't it?" And he said, "What date did you say that was?" And I said, "It's, I can't remember, 19th of November." Because he lives in New Orleans, just in case you didn't know.
I did not know.
I happened to be in London that day. And I said, really? Oh, wow. He said, what time? I said, the time.
Wow.
I happen to be free at exactly that time. I'll pop
That's
in.
crazy.
It is.
Crazy.
We never would
Crazy.
have got him otherwise. I mean, we were not going to
Crazy.
we didn't have the
Yeah.
budget to get to New Orleans.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't know COVID was about to happen
Yeah, of
either.
course
But
not.
anyway, so he gave us he's a fantastic interview. He's very eloquent
Yes, he is.
and heartfelt.
Yep.
What he said was brilliant.
Yep.
And so now instead we were going to only interview Julian Dawson, Nicky's biographer. Bill Wyman came along because Chris Kimsey, do you know him?
No, don't know Chris.
Oh, Chris Kimsey is a record producer who is attached to Olympic Studios. He worked on Sticky Fingers. He worked with Peter Frampton, loads of people.
Yeah.
Knew Nicky personally, and he got Bill to come along. He also got Glyn Johns to come along, who you probably heard of.
Big name. Big name. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. And then also Harry Shearer.
Yeah.
You see, who we didn't realize was going to come that day. So that was a full day filming, actually at Olympic, which was made even more special.
Right.
And we have a clip of Nicky in an old interview talking about Olympic Studios, and we had our first private screening of the film at Olympic because it's now a cinema. You see, it's actually
great.
they're just about to convert one floor back to a studio.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be both a studio and a cinema, but it's been a cinema for decades now. So we watched it, watching Nicky talking about being at Olympic while we were at Olympic.
That's great.
That's cool. Great. Anyway, so we did the first day of filming and it went great. And then we got it all edited and we had our 6-minute film, and it looked really good. And of course, we didn't have to worry about music, so we could use any music because it wasn't for broadcast.
Right.
It was just for private use.
Right.
So we had Monkey Man playing and everything, you know, and it sounded amazing. And then I set about trying to find people to interview from a very long list of people that Nicky worked with. So I wasn't short on the list, but getting through to people was the tricky thing, you know. And now I'd done the bench, so I had a bit of a foothold because I'd already done the bench. So I had those connections from that, which is where I started. So I didn't get Roger Daltrey, but we did get Pete Townsend.
Right. Yep.
Funny enough.
Yep.
And he didn't want to be interviewed, but he gave us an audio interview.
Yep. Yep.
Which was really, really good. And I just carried on from there, and we ended up with 44 interviews.
Yeah.
But COVID happened, which we thought could have killed the whole project. But actually, we became a little bit more resourceful. You know, the idea of mentioning Skype, because it was before Skype had disappeared and Zoom. Yeah, the idea of a Skype interview in a film was horrifying. Oh, good grief. Wouldn't even dream of it. But actually, because of, you know, necessity, what is the expression? Breeds invention. Because of that, we had, for example, Pete Sears. Do you know him?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
is he on the film? Is he in the documentary?
He's in the documentary, yeah.
Okay.
He's talking about how he's making an album. The album, I forgot the name of the band. I think it's Night. And they've done one half of the album, but Nicky has to go on tour with the Stones now, so they asked Pete to produce the second half.
Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah.
That's a Skype interview.
Right.
And we also
was one of those California bands like Quicksilver Messenger Service or one of those, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's British.
Yeah.
He's British though.
Yes. Yes.
But he's a session keyboard player.
Right.
He's talking about doing exchange little numbers with Nicky.
Right.
He plays something, then Pete plays something back, and so on in one of the numbers. And then we had Paul Brown from the Waterboys.
Right.
Who also gave us a Skype interview.
Very enthusiastic. Yeah,
that's right. So, you know, without COVID, there's a benefit of COVID. We would have spent a lot of money flying there or sending our American guy. It ended up being fine. And it sort of added a bit of variety, actually. And it was high enough quality.
Yeah, absolutely high enough quality. Looks fine. Yeah.
So it's fine. But originally, the idea was horrifying to anybody.
Right.
The idea of having a Skype, good grief, no. You know, but it ended up being fine. So then the way it worked is that we had Graham Parker we interviewed, and we interviewed Gray Levitt talking about the old days working with Nicky. I should really have a list in front of me because it's so difficult to remember everything.
Yeah.
But I'm doing okay, I think, from memory. Pete Townsend is another one. I mean, sorry, Peter Frampton is another one.
Right.
But
Right.
he had his own film crew anyway because he was just launching his book and he was used to doing loads of interviews all the time. So we just did another one and we just supplied him with the questions.
That's
and his
great.
colleague voiced them off camera, and he was great. That
Yep.
was fantastic. But so we did a lot of UK interviews. Dave Davis is another one from the
Dave Davis.
Kinks.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yep.
got all those in the can. Albert Lee. No,
Right.
not Albert Lee. Albert Lee. That's right. I get my Alvin Lee and Albert
Yeah.
Lee. The UK guys, Albert Lee. We got him as well, and that was really, really good. We also interviewed somebody from the Crohn's charity because Mike wanted to give a little bit of extra information about what it's like what is Crohn's, what it's like, and
Yeah.
being a musician and having Crohn's. So we
Yeah.
interviewed a musician called Tom Spate, who's an up-and-coming singer here, who has Crohn's,
Right.
who
He
works
was good.
in health
Yeah.
insurance. And he's
Yeah.
saying how difficult it must have been then. It's difficult now, but back then
Right.
we didn't have the medication. So we got
Right.
all that in the can. And then I had a colleague, so funny, isn't it? A colleague that I knew from the early 2000s, so I'd stayed in touch with, ended up being such a valuable asset for this project because he's in the States. His name is Mike Sherman, and he, back in the early 2000s, he had his own red carpet interview show where he would interview names like DJ Khaled
Oh yeah.
and Flo Rida and people who were tiny at the time. Now they're massive stars. And even Kim Kardashian, in the early
Yeah.
days of that whole Florida music movement. And I was working on a website project and I was just one of the staff, and he was sort of recruited to provide celebrity content kind of thing. And so we were working together. I'd never met him, but we were always chatting and stuff. And I stayed in touch. And then I told him about this whole project. He said, listen, why don't you get me to interview all the US guys so that you don't have to fly out?
Wow. 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 Yeah.
And that makes so much
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he interviewed. So, can you imagine his excitement when Keith Richards, who was saying no during COVID all the time because he didn't want to get ill from our film crew,
Right. Right.
finally said yes just at the end of COVID. And he said, I'm in this recording studio in New York. I'll give you 30 minutes. And Mike was blown out of his brains.
Yeah.
And we got it. And he said great stuff in that interview. And he also interviewed the two guys from Jefferson Airplane, Jack Cassidy and Jorma Kalkinen.
Jorma Kalkinen. Yep.
Yeah,
It was really good. Yep.
I mean, they're legends, total legends. Of course, Nicky played with them at Woodstock.
Right.
And then another guy, because Mike couldn't do all of them in the States, but another guy who's worked with us interviewed. I feel rude now for calling him another guy. Taught. I forgot. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You can edit that bit out. He interviewed Niels Lofgren for us.
Yep.
That was really cool.
Yep. Very cool.
And Mike also, though, interviewed an absolute legend, the drummer on Love, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth, and Jealous Guy, whose name is obviously...
I'll drop it in here. I'll drop it in. It's fine. You got a lot of names. It's okay. It's
okay. Well,
yeah.
Jim
Keltner.
Thank you. Jim Keltner.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he interviewed Mike Sherman interviewed Jim Keltner for us, which was fantastic. And one of my favorite bits of the film is where he says, to have a Beatle and Nicky Hopkins in the same room as me, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah,
I mean, what a quote.
Yeah.
Great quote. And it's Jim Keltner, one of the greatest drummers in the world, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of a summary of, ended up with 44 people. We have Paul McCartney's brother in it, but unfortunately, there's only one sentence from him.
Yeah.
but he's in it.
But the overall, you know, everybody who had something to say, just so much common kind of themes to what their commentary would be about how Nicky's work was there in support of the band, in support of the song,
Right.
in support of the
That's,
idea.
that's right.
He never wanted to take over a song. He never wanted to
Show off.
yeah, show off. He was there to help.
Absolutely. And he just knew exactly what they wanted, almost telepathically, the
Yeah,
style and what to play, when to play, what not to play. And I love this also, this other extra information I've picked up, which is everybody, whenever they work, whenever he was in the studio with other musicians, they all said that they all played better. There's something about his presence that made them play better and feel better about their ability. Isn't that amazing?
that is amazing.
Not even nothing said. It's just they
Yeah.
felt it.
Yep. Yep. Wow. When I'm curious, when you met the gentleman from the camera store and
Ray Levitt, yeah.
Ray Levitt, were you already like a big music fan? Were you aware of who Nicky Hopkins was at the time and how much he had contributed? I mean, I think the average person has no idea that all these different records, it's the same keyboard player. They probably just, you know,
Yeah,
they if you pull out an album by The Who, you focus on Daltrey and Townsend, and you don't really pay attention to all the sidemen and all the people. And to when you step back and realize, he was just everywhere. He was
absolutely.
Forrest
Yeah,
Gump almost. Yeah.
there's a great quote in the film from Terry Reid.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He says, he suddenly realized that Nicky's playing on everything. It's
Yeah.
such a great quote.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, actually I had heard his name once a few years prior. Somebody mentioned him and said he played with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but that was it. It never really registered. And, but then when Gray started telling me more about him and I started to look into him a little bit more and all these amazing stories, I then realized how important he was. But I mean, that's proof, isn't it? That I heard about him, but I never heard his name again
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
Gray started talking about it. It shows how untalked about he was.
Right.
And my
Right.
mission, I decided, and I feel I've achieved quite a lot of this, is to get him much more known,
Yep.
much more dominant, much more prominent online, everywhere. It's been incredible. Bench, plaque, scholarship, documentary, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Musicians Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's a lot of attention. So many articles, which were very expensive, by the way, because we had to hire a PR firm.
Right.
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 But it's got, Rolling Stone magazine and People magazine. It's loads of media now generated. So if you type in Nicky Hopkins, you get swamped, where before you wouldn't perhaps have got so swamped. So that's, I feel it's an achievement. That's always been my purpose, just to get him known, deservedly so.
Are you behind the website, the Nicky Hopkins website itself as well?
Yeah, and the
And the Session
sessionmanfilm.com.
Man. Yep.
Yeah, and I run the official Nicky Hopkins Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Wow.
And also my wife, I don't do it too much, but TikTok, I don't like, but we do have an account, but we very rarely post on it because I don't like it. But it's a powerful way of getting the word out.
Well,
And LinkedIn, I put stuff on my LinkedIn. I just try and get his name out everywhere I possibly can.
Well, when I
All
do a
the
little,
time.
I'll do a little TikTok clip from this and I'll tag you when I.
Oh, great. Thanks. But it's like a full-time job,
Yeah.
because people
Right.
talk about him. My purpose is that if anybody mentions him anywhere on any platform, I respond in some way, just liking it or replying. One of the things that's embarrassing a little bit is where people don't realize he's passed away, even though it was
Right.
over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's how to tell them without making them feel or look stupid. And they go, "Hey, Nicky,
Yeah.
it's so good
Right.
to meet you on here. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm so honored that you replied to my tweet." And I kind of
Right.
go,
Yeah. Yeah.
I say, well, Nicky would have been really honored with your words.
Right.
to
right.
tell them gently that
Yeah,
I'm not Nicky.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, just the whole idea when you stop and realize his contribution to me, when you think about some of these classic songs and then you in your head subtract the piano part,
Yeah,
it's inconceivable to imagine, say, Monkey Man.
yeah, it'd be empty.
Without, it's just not that song. It's not that spine-tingling start to that song. It's just not.
Yes, yeah. This actually leads in very nicely to uh, the question whether or not Nicky should have been credited for some of the writing credits.
Which would have put him in a whole different income category.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, he gets performance copyright.
Right.
Royalties
Right. Right.
because
Right.
he performed on the album. So if
Right.
ever any of the tracks are played on radio and film or whatever, his widow
Yep.
Maura gets the income. Actually, that was the whole exciting project for me because hopefully this helps some of your listeners or viewers or both. Because I looked into that to help Maura to make sure she was getting the income that she should be
Good.
getting from
Yeah.
the performance rights. And I learned the whole thing. I discovered this because of Chris Kimsey, who knows everything about the music industry. He was one of our consultants actually on the film, so he's a close buddy now. He told me about this royalty expert to contact. His name is Simon Harrison, and he runs an agency, or whatever you call it, called Royalty Rescue. And what I learned from that is that because I found out I had about 40 musicians in my contacts, when I started to dig into who I know, I thought maybe they're not properly registered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
boy, was
Yeah.
I right.
Yeah.
In
Wow.
fact, the norm is that almost any musician anywhere, unless they're super huge musicians that use top lawyers and everything, so that average musicians who've maybe done a few albums or a few bands, they're almost always, you can guarantee, not properly registered on PPL. It's called here. It's probably a different name, but it's a Phonographic Performance Limited.
Yeah.
And they think they are, but they're not because their cousin went online and ticked all the boxes wrongly.
Right.
And they're convinced because they're getting their checks quarterly that everything's fine. And I have to battle with them.
Yeah.
I literally have to tell them, no, you are not getting what you deserve. You should be getting double or three times. No, 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 it's fine. It's unbelievable. I'm trying to give them money and they won't believe me.
Yeah.
And I
Wow.
did that with 40 people, but it all started because of Nicky. And we found out that he was registered for 700 tracks, by which I don't mean different tracks. There are often different versions of the same track. There could be 20 or 30 versions of the same track. So he had 700 registrations.
Wow.
I contacted Simon. I contacted Simon Harrison, and he said, it would be my honor to look into Nicky's tracks and his PPL. And he came back after a while to go digging and found out that Nicky is actually on 7,000 tracks,
Oh my gosh.
only registered for 700 and didn't
Wow.
realize. And that is the
Wow.
same story. He's got some stellar examples of well-known celebrities who thought their tiny amount they were getting every quarter was all it was. And he's now added thousands of pounds every quarter to what they are now receiving. It's an incredible story. Such a blind spot for musicians.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wow.
so that's what I did. But writing credits is a different story because that's the ownership of a track.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt he definitely contributed to the writing
Yeah.
of these tracks because
Yeah.
some of them were formed in the studio while he was there.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's just the way it is if you're a session musician.
Yeah. What a combination of incredible talent and humility on the other side. Just only there to serve the cause. And when you think
Yeah,
about some of the flashier people who are big time entertainers who may not have that musical talent, they have the spirit and the will and the drive to perform, to sing in a big way that we are all appreciative of. And I guess, I mean, I don't know if Joe Cocker is a musician at heart or not, but he's certainly a very entertaining lead singer, as is Mick Jagger. I assume Mick really knows his music. But you bring in a guy like uh, Nicky, who just understands music backwards and forwards. He
Yeah,
lives it, breathes it, and
yeah,
he is able to just present that skill level to a band that is going to elevate, like you say, hundreds and hundreds of songs in a way that
yeah.
is just where would rock and really, I think it's fair to say, where would mainstream rock and roll have been without Nicky Hopkins?
I totally agree with you. But does he get the credit for it? No, no one's heard of him.
Yeah, yeah,
Which, but
yeah,
then getting Musical Excellence Award at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a good start,
yep,
isn't it?
yep, yep,
And also, April the 28th, Musicians Hall of Fame, he's going to be inducted
yeah. Terrific.
with Dolly Parton and Keith Urban and Leland Sklar
Yeah. Hello, hello.
and one other name I've forgotten.
Yeah. Well, how do you, just as we wrap up here, John, how are you? You must look back on this and just, you must be thrilled. You must be very pleased with what you've accomplished.
I really am. It's like a dream come true. I mean, all I did was create a bench. I mean, and look what happened. It just snowballed into this huge global project. We're very pleased. Well, the film came out in the very first public performance was October 2023, but getting it out there, getting it distributed has been a real struggle because again, it's a catch-22 situation. No one's heard of Nicky Hopkins, so why would a distributor risk putting a film on that no one's heard of? He worked with the biggest names in the world, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, etc., but that might not be good enough to sell the film. So it's been tough, but I mean, it was in Japan for 6 months throughout the country in cinemas with lots of Q&As. We've had some success. It's been on Amazon. I mean, we had Peter Frampton came and launched it for us in New York, which was fantastic because he said to me, "I'd do anything for Nicky,"
Wow, wow,
which is
wow.
special, isn't it?
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
he was there, and Dave Davis happened to be there the same. He happened to be in New
yeah.
York at that time, and so we had that fantastic event in London screening and the Q&A. And so then it was on. It's been on Amazon ever since, pay-per-view for over a year now, and that's great. And then the DVD came out, Canada and New York, Canada and America, and just 3 countries in Europe. But that's it.
Mhm.
And it's been really driving me mad. What about South America? What about the rest of Asia? What about the rest of Europe? Why on earth? But fine, we've had a breakthrough,
Oh, good, good, good,
and it's
good.
not been announced yet, even. But we've got worldwide distribution coming out very soon. It's going to be staggered, of course, because some countries need dubbing, some countries need
Yeah.
subtitles, but it will be rolling out across the whole world next month.
Oh,
From
that's
next,
fantastic. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
for me, it's
Wow.
like really because I want people to know him, and I don't know how many people are going to see the film in Uzbekistan, but you know what I'm
They know,
saying?
but in Uzbekistan, they know the Beatles, they know the Who, they know the
Well, sure,
Stones.
that's
Yeah. So,
true. That's true. I
so
mean,
yeah,
well, why wouldn't any
yeah,
country?
right.
Obviously, we're not going to be in China or North Korea or whatever, but
Yeah.
most of the world, it will
Well,
finally get the Session Man, and that really does warm the cockles of my heart.
yeah. Well, that's a great way to end, John. I can't thank you enough for your time. I really could talk to you for hours.
Likewise,
I hope our paths maybe cross at some point. Who knows? But
I'd love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for a DJ in Southwest Colorado in a town of just a few thousand people. We have a very strong, terrific local radio station. I'm very proud to be part of. I get
Oh,
to
great.
have a show once a week, but very honored to talk to you. And as a music fan, my thanks to you for what you've done and taken this well-deserved tribute and this energy and put it out there and let the world know who Nicky Hopkins really was. So
Well,
thank you
thank
so
you for
much
that.
for thank you for your time, John, and
Thank you
good
for your
luck with
kind words.
everything.
Well, I just feel Nicky so deserves it. So there we go. Thank you.